everyone, it's Christine Gritman here with Social, the live show that I do pretty much every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I skipped last week, but you know, summer happens. But I am back this week, and I have special guests, Mia Voss. Voss, I'm sorry, I should have figured that out beforehand, huh?
Voss like the water lady.
That's what I've always thought.
Right. Yeah.
And Charlie Stivers, and they are here to talk about CBD and specifically CBD marketing. So welcome, you guys. First, let's kick it off by talking about what are we talking about when we talk about CBD and CBD products?
Well, thank you. And so CBD, you know, that it does include the whole cannabis family. Mm-hmm. You know, and there's a lot of misconceptions out there, a lot of gray area that we've had to manage over the years. So, you know, happy to dig into that a little bit more with you. But you know, CBD is the one that does not get you high, but it makes you feel good.
What does CBD stand for?
Cannabidiol.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. And
unlike the comic sidekick.
Yes. and CBD and THC are cannabinoids in the cannabis plant. So,
it's a super sciencey world. It's much further than just a bunch of stoners in a van.
I'm sure. So let's kind of break it down here. So there's a plant. So we're talking about cannabis. We're talking about hemp. We're talking about there's what we know as pot or marijuana that people smoke, but then there's CBD, which people mainly use in the form of like oils or supplements. So can we kind of break down sort of where those lines are to some degree?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Cannabis sativa is the species of the plant, and then you know, everyone's familiar with marijuana. That's the one that's rich in THC, the cannabinoid that gets you high or causes psychoactivity. And then CBD is cannabidiol, which is the one that is the primary benefits are anti-inflammation, pain relief, anti-anxiety, I mean, you name it. And then the government actually has a patent on cannabinoids as a neuroprotectant and antioxidant.
Wow.
So
that's a whole other ball game.
Yeah,
that is interesting.
Right?
Yeah, interesting rabbit hole.
Yeah, if you like going down rabbit holes and doing research yourself, Google patent number 6630507, and that's, you know, basically what the government's doing behind the scenes for a long time. This actually came out in 2003, but the federal government laws have not caught up with what they're actually doing behind the scenes. So
right.
Yeah,
and
I've definitely heard that if the government were to turn that into a crop that we, you know, utilized and regulated, but also, you know, we're able to have an economy around like any other crop, it would mean tremendous business for the U.S.
Right.
It is. And we're getting closer to that because of the Farm Bill last year, the 2018 Farm Bill, and that's something actually that our governor, Jared Polis, and
Mitch McConnell.
Of Colorado, exactly, and then Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, they co-authored it to bring hemp off Schedule 1, right?
And add that distinction between marijuana and hemp. So hemp by federal definition is 0.3% or less of THC. So that is all forms of hemp, and hemp can be grown for textiles and industry. The stalk or the fiber. Then the seed is food, right? You know, that's been in our diet for a long time. And then the flower is the medicine that can be extracted or smoked. So, I mean, all those
the flower or
can be
bud, you know,
right?
as you will.
Yep.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep. So
and
that's why, been exciting.
Yeah, and that's why Kentucky got in on it too, because they want to replace tobacco with hemp, which is great. And our governor's he's pretty cool too. So of course Colorado has been the groundbreaker on a lot of the legalities, but it's made it it's an interesting world to try and navigate the legalities of it too. Which is why we're going to talk about that.
So when I hear CBD, I mostly hear about CBD oil. Is that essentially the essential oil extract of that bud?
So that's kind of just been the generic term that's been thrown around because everyone's excited about that. That's where the momentum is right now for sure. But when you're talking about CBD, it's the extract of the plant is like the essential oil. So that contains all kinds of cannabinoids, including 0.3% or THC or less.
Which is full spectrum.
But there's plenty of people out there that get drug tested still, and even at those low levels, they still can test hot for
why that light keeps turning on.
THC. So then that comes into play a CBD isolate. So these crazy scientists figure out a way to isolate the individual compound, CBD, and you can find that by itself, and we carry that on our website. But there's a thing called the entourage effect, where if the true essence of the plant and all the different compounds and cannabinoids working together provide a more medicinal benefit to our bodies, and that's what our bodies really crave.
Right.
And there's even studies out there now called endocannabinoid deficiency, where humanity is pretty dang sick, right? And most of it's because of inflammation in our poor diet and lack of exercise.
Inflammation is connected to all of our modern ills lately. It's really...
Yep. Drop the mic. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about CBD is some people say, okay, is there one that's made for this, or this? And it's really not. It's more that it helps put your body in balance, so it can heal itself. But that's the tough thing about the marketing piece, which is, I know what we're here to talk about, is that it's such an amazing plant, but we have to jump through a lot of hoops because there's a lot of baggage and misconceptions and fear around cannabis that's been really perpetuated by a lot of the government, a lot of society, religion, all kinds of things. So it makes our job a little more difficult. But right before we got on here, you're on the phone with a gal from the Midwest whose daughter is taking CBD, and she literally is like, "Hey, I've had breast cancer. I went through this treatment. Can you talk to me about this? I want to understand." But it's hard for us to do that on social media, certainly on Facebook. We can't advertise.
Yeah, so let's talk about what you can and cannot do, how it varies by geography, how it varies by media platform. So what are those boundaries right now?
And let's clarify too, today.
Yes, let's clarify what those boundaries
as of today.
Right now. And also, do you guys only operate in the United States, or is there an international component as well?
Good question.
Yeah, we do ship globally, and we've never had anything seized, so that's been fortunate for us and our clients.
Yeah.
So it is something that is a gray area still. And actually, USPS did announce that they do allow hemp-derived products.
Yeah, in the last 2 weeks, right?
2 months.
2 months?
Yeah.
Wow,
and
that
it's
is
just more
very recent.
Yeah, and they did announce something in general 2 months ago, and then they kind of dialed in about a month ago.
Yeah.
Like how to proceed.
And
Tim is
TSA
saying he
too.
thinks it's illegal in the UK, but I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure you guys are aware of all the restrictions
Actually,
in place.
no, UK was one of the first in 2000. It was January 2017. They actually announced that CBD was officially a medicine.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
cool.
yeah.
Which brings its own regulations, but the fact is, at least it gets it gets some legitimacy there that it deserves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the Israelis were the ones who really led the research behind this and the R&D, and
For years. I mean, first it was Dr. Is it Meshulam? So he's the first one to clarify that the THC component, right, in the 70s,
to isolate it,
isolate it. And then this is why CBD seems so new, is because they really didn't even discover that cannabinoid until the 90s. And then we have, not to get too sciencey, the endocannabinoid system. So that's why people are like, why is this so new? We just the Israelis were really big on that. So
and suddenly it's literally in the grocery stores that I go to. There's a whole little area of CBD products. It's not behind a locked cabinet or anything. It's just there.
Isn't that weird?
I think
That is surprising.
They might check your ID when you purchase it. I'm not sure, but it's just there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can purchase that easier now than the a lot of the drugs that were made to make really, really bad drugs, right? A lot of those behind locked cabinets. But we do tell people, from any kind of standpoint of like, just always check whatever state you're traveling in. It doesn't matter. It's still really confusing. There was a mom a grandmother in Disneyland who was arrested and in custody for 12 hours based on her bringing her CBD in her purse into Disneyland.
Yikes.
And they went through her bag, and then they did a test on site, but it was inaccurate. But and she even had a note from her doctor.
And I'd imagine if you're walking around at Disneyland all day, you don't want inflammation, and that can be a bit of an anxiety.
Yeah, that's the confusion about it, and that is what we try to do with the marketing side of social media.
CBD, it's Disney World. My goodness. All right, so let's talk about. So you said you can't advertise. So let's talk about what you can do and where.
Okay, so the first thing is you can't make medical claims. Okay, so that's the basics. And so when you market, you can market more towards the pain points and, kind of guide them down, whatever way you want to within your funnel or
we use a lot of may
or
and
opt-ins.
might.
Yeah, right.
It may help
Yes.
with, and then we use a lot of anecdotal stories from clients too.
I used to work in the
absolutely.
beauty industry, and I remember having to write stuff about skincare so it would pass through legal, and it was like, may reduce the appearance of wrinkles.
Up to a certain percent, right?
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
It may.
So it's a lot of CYA, a lot of compliance. And that's just something that we've all had to deal with. The most recent thing is Facebook did allow topicals, but I don't think you can put CBD in the ad. But if it has CBD in it, then that's fine.
So what
And
can
we
you say? How do you get around that? How do you communicate what it is that you're presenting?
Right. So yeah, very
Studies.
Yeah.
Now that hemp is off of Schedule 1, hold on. The Frenchie's decided she
And
wants to
cough,
get in
yeah.
on the
Sorry.
get in on this. She's our little
And
brand
she actually
ambassador.
gets in on it. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But
Yeah. But I mean, now that hemp, there's a more legality to it. There's going to be a lot more research, which is going to be cool.
Yeah.
So then when you go back and we quote a lot of articles, research, Journal of American, JMA, testimonials, like I said, anecdotals. So that's kind of how we go with it too, as if, when people tell us our dog feels so much better, which is kind of how I got started with it, was treating my dog before I even started taking it myself. So I'm a brand ambassador for Phytorite too. So it's your company, and then I'm the face of it. Me and this one here.
Yeah.
The Frenchie.
Now, how did you think of treating your dog with CBD?
So one of the things that you learn in the science of it is all mammals have an endocannabinoid system, and so that just kind of made sense. And it's not gonna, literally we're talking drops, so no one's gonna overdose on this stuff, and it works dramatically well on dogs.
Here's what it looks like.
Yep. So literally, yeah. We put, I think it's like 6 drops for a 20-pound animal, so they hardly even taste it. And the next day, literally, her dog was hopping up and down the stairs again, and she
Wow.
hardly could. Yeah.
This was
the
my
dog had stiffness and inflammation issues? Or?
Yeah, she was 16. It was our previous dog, and she old beagle, and my ex was sharing custody, came to pick her up, and he's like, "What'd you do to the dog?" Like, and I think the interesting thing we always say about pets and kids is they don't have this misconception about it. They're not like, is it going to get me high? With dogs or pets especially, they're like, they just feel better.
Yeah. There's no placebo effect with pets and kids, right?
Yeah.
So it either works or it doesn't, and neither one of them can lie about pain either. So either they are living in pain or they're not. So it's that's a really good way to see if it works potentially for yourself, and it is a gateway for people who are have that marijuana baggage. They're nervous, or they just are concerned about getting high, whatever the case may be. So they'll either try a topical and see if it works. They'll try it on their pet, and they're like, oh, it works so well, I think I'll give it a shot.
And that's how we market it. This is basically like that, of like combinations and things like that. And because we can't advertise, it is about creating content that's helpful for people, getting that out there, creating a lot of visuals. And then we've been getting into the essential oil side of it too. So that's kind of fun to add in this sort of romanticized thing that you can advertise.
Yeah, because phyto means plant.
Yeah.
And to me, I grew up on a farm. I have a green thumb, and and my middle name is Garden, actually, too. So
That's actually your real middle name?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So cool.
So that's kind of a fun marketing thing that we use too. He sort of forgets it, and it's like from the gardenias. He's got a history. It's kind of cool. So, yeah, it's a lot of competition though, Christine. I'm sure you see it out there.
I'm sure it just blew up all of a sudden, and every place. And it's also tricky because since it is growing so exponentially and so quickly, it's hard to know what you can and can't trust. You know, is it going to be a placebo? Is it going to be snake oil? Or is it going to be the real deal? And to some degree, the restrictions placed on it and what you can say might be helpful towards that. But on the other hand, you know, the fact that you can be vague might get some people in. So I guess what I'm saying is, how can you, what research should people be doing before trying a CBD product? And also to another point, can it get you high? Like,
Oh,
we lost a bit of that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
we lost a little bit of that. Or you're asking, and just to that point, or what you were saying earlier, it is about the education piece of, like, because there is so much out there, and so we spend a lot of time just helping people choose the right thing, whether it's our products, or they'll send us a bottle and say, hey, what is this? And then we'll go like, ooh, you need to look at third-party testing. So we provide that, and we tell people to look for how it's been tested, how it's been extracted, how it's been grown, because the cannabis plant is remedial, meaning it heals the soil. That means it pulls up whatever's in the soil. So if you've got something that's grown in like crappy soil or with pesticides, right? So it's looking for that kind of stuff, and so we try and put that into our marketing.
Certifications, like what exists in terms of trustworthy stamps?
The third party testing, and any website should have their test reports that are, again, third party, so it's not just we're saying it is. They have a state regulated
I mean, that's a whole nother issue too. They're not super regulated, but for the most part, I mean, that's the way the industry is operating right now. There are a ton of testing places here in Colorado, just because they're in place from the marijuana industry first. And that's the thing. You have to give respect to cannabis as the plant and marijuana, because they're the ones who started the medicinal properties of it, and then CBD evolved because of the stories out there and the videos of the kids having seizures and taking CBD rich marijuana extract and getting rid of the seizures, or really easing
amazing.
those tremors. And then now it's evolved because of science and technology. They're able to breed and cross hemp plants that look just like marijuana, but now those are rich in CBD and super low in THC.
So no, it doesn't get you high.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, when we talk about giving it to pets or giving it to children, I mean, they can't articulate the experience, as you said, which also means, you might worry a little. Am I getting my kid high? Am I getting my animal high?
Yeah. Which, that is the thing that when people joke about, blowing pot in pets' faces, so that is dangerous to get pets high too, and especially children, because THC is dangerous for kids. So but the small amount that's in it creates the entourage effect without getting high. I'm super sensitive to THC, right, it's not a good thing. You do not want to get me high. But we said in the green room earlier that CBD actually can reduce the effects if somebody, let's say, ate an edible or smoked too much pot. CBD actually counteracts the effects of THC.
It sounds like in general it's about balancing, which is great.
It is.
Moderation, right?
Boom chakalaka.
So now, as regulations and laws vary from state to state in terms of marijuana regulation, has that also corresponded to different regulations in how you can advertise, or not even advertise, but how you can present CBD?
So it's because of the distinction now with the Farm Bill, there's not too much of that issue until there's still no distinction to the advertiser or the media channel. So a lot of the media still says, it's still federally illegal, but they don't understand the distinction. And the DEA still has CBD on Schedule 1 as a marijuana extract. So the burden of proof goes on us and the consumer. If you're pulled over or something seized, everything is considered marijuana until it's proven hemp. So that's the physical in the field battles that we deal with. But when it comes to marketing, they're supposed to be able to let it through, but it's their own choice, right?
Yeah.
So
And you'd mentioned before that it was taken off Section 1 in some places, but it is still Section 1 in others. So where is that distinction?
So the federal guidelines are
Schedule 1, yeah.
There is distinction of hemp derived.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we were saying. Right.
Yes. Yeah. The problem is CBD is still that generic term. That is it marijuana or is it hemp? Well, it's both. So that's why you can see where it's
so gray.
Yeah.
And that's why we even said at the beginning, like today, right? Because you never know. And then just for people watching too, Schedule 1 means no medicinal value. So we're talking like super hardcore drugs that are on. And are the oxys, are they in Schedule 2 or are they in Schedule 1?
Yeah, I think they're they're most likely Schedule 2.
Yeah. So meaning less dangerous. That all the oxy, all the things that people are addicted to right now, which is a huge problem.
That is considered less dangerous
than cannabis. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
It is. Yes. Yes. So
what type of products are you presenting, by the way, when it comes to what your company produces with CBD oil?
So the most popular are the oils because everyone just wants to feel better and they don't want to take pharmaceuticals, right?
Yeah.
Most people want to be natural, and then a lot of people also, like the call today, they've tried everything in the traditional medical route and she's not getting a benefit, and there's side effects where there's no real side effects to CBD other than sleepy. Feeling better. Some people do feel a little sleepy.
Other people feel energized. So that's the interesting thing. We always say that every body is different. So that's where we, in our marketing, end up spending a lot of education because, to give you an example, these are 2 bottles. They're each 1 ounce, right? 30, how many is it?
30 milliliters.
30 milliliters, 1 ounce. So this bottle has 1,200 milligrams of CBD. This bottle has 600. They look exactly alike, right? So this is how many milligrams of CBD in it. I'm always like, I'm not a drug dealer. I don't understand how this works. So we kind of pass the marketing through me of the understanding piece because I'm like, I don't get it. How do we dose? We spend a lot of time building charts of how much CBD to start with, and we always say start slow. So we do it's literally marketing is a lot of education.
Yeah, and then hopefully we're doing our job in educating the consumers so they know what they're buying, because there's plenty of bottles that size that may only have 50 milligrams of CBD.
Exact same amount, right? 1 fluid ounce. So we really try and help people to understand looking at labels, and because it's not regulated, people can put whatever they want on their bottles.
So,
and one of the other problems too, real quick, is there's tons of multi-level marketing companies out there because it's easier to market word of mouth. Right?
Yes, especially something like this where you can't advertise widely. That's
exactly.
Yeah,
they're going that route. So and that's what's tough too. That's based on
very Wild West.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. We say that all the time. You're totally right.
So, and then the other challenge now too is the nutraceutical companies. A lot of them are MLMs, are getting into the space and they're hyping all the benefits. And because they're not doing it in print, they're staying out of trouble. But we all know they still hype their product and say theirs is the best, type of thing. Bottom line, CBD works. Just, like Mia touched on, just understand how much you're taking, where it's coming from.
What you're taking, right. Yeah. And we try and get people in the know on that too, because if they have compromised health, not just if taking it proactively, but if they're taking it because they're really sick, it could hurt if you're taking the wrong stuff or stuff that has bad stuff in it.
Yeah,
all this stuff.
So now, how do people find you? You're not able to advertise, but you're providing all this educational content. It sounds like pretty much what you're presenting isn't, hey, my product is great. It's, hey, here's what you need to know in order to be helped. How are people finding the content?
Yeah, so a lot of it is pretty grassroots, organic type stuff, SEO, putting out content that is educational. Don't be one of those that just puts out a blog with, hundreds of keywords in it. Put something of value. And
how does Google treat CBD?
Oh, same thing. So Google and Facebook are very restrictive.
Yeah.
Facebook now just said they'll allow topicals, like I mentioned. But we know that day's coming. I mean, they're missing out so much revenue.
They really are. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, is there people, and we were also careful on the labeling too. For speaking of marketing, like you were even
Yep.
careful. You had some foresight on that, because it was long before people really started. Because you've been around what, 2 years?
Phytorite, yes, and then I've been in the industry 4 years, and that was the whole reasoning behind Phytorite. You know, I didn't want to be canna this or CBD that. You know, having that green thumb, I was like, hey, I believe in plant-based medicine, and phytocannabinoid is a term in the science behind this, and I'm like, oh, phyto is pretty cool, and
Plus
you know,
it kind of
and
works with phyto because pets can use it.
hello,
Yeah, that's
yes,
a good one. And this one is called Phyto
right
and Friends.
for Phyto.
Nice.
yes, exactly,
Sorry,
and we have
that's
phyto
beautiful.
bites too, and so as far as finding us, it's phytorite.com, PHYTORITE. So thank you for that. And I mean, really, you know, I need to ramp up my game with video. You know, I do live video a lot of times. I'm
always on him about it. I'm like,
I mean,
you don't have to fix your hair. Just get on camera.
I have a hang up about, you know, repurposing it for YouTube. You know, and it's, gosh, I guess my block is I don't want anything to get shut down.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you hear all the time, credit card processors are pulling.
Banking industry's tough.
YouTube is shutting down a channel. Instagram shutting down a channel. Facebook shutting down a channel. So, you know, that's been a big concern.
What's your best channel been?
I would say Facebook, just because, you know, we try to put out shareable information. Funny, informative, thought-provoking.
We just share a lot of articles too, of just not only of CBD but the cannabis world, and a lot about wellness. As I always say, pain doesn't care how you vote, or pain doesn't care what God you believe in. It's pain. So we've had a lot of people really change their minds who had incredible hang-ups just based on this word of mouth thing of, oh, I heard somebody is pain-free, or I heard it helped your dog. So we rely on that a lot. Right,
fantastic. All right, well, that is awesome. It's almost 12:30 now, so I want to make sure to respect your time. But thank you so much for being on.
Thank you,
and Charlie of Phytorite, and for talking to us about CBD and CBD marketing, and how it's really all about educating. You know, that's what it comes down to. It's not sell. It's educate and broaden so you can help, which is honestly something that even people who don't have restrictions on their marketing should take to heart.
Amen.
Again, I'm Christine Gripman. I do this every Friday at noon. I will be back next week with guests Tim and Jim, Tim Sohn and Jim Foose of, or Fuse. And they actually do a Facebook Live show together every week, and they hadn't met until recently in real life. So we'll talk about working together, something they certainly know a thing or two about. And that'll be next week at noon. And see you then. Bye.
Mm.